Young Thug's 2016 effort Jeffery is a bizarre one. It can be construed that this is perhaps his most intimate work to date. Whether you look at the iconic androgynous album artwork, the tracklist which pays homage to his influences, or even his name change from Young Thug to Jeffery, it's clear that this mixtape wanted to shine a fresh light on one of New School Trap's biggest names. But how did this playful romp into pop trap succeed at what it set out to do? Find out in this review. Before you do, however, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications every time that I upload, leave a like, and comment any suggestions on how I can improve these things going forward. Let's get into it. Jeffery is an album which plays the mediator between two things: influencer and influence. Nowhere is this more apparent than the naming conventions of the tracklist. Every track is named after a personality who has inspired Thugger in some way or another. You have Wyclef Jean, Floyd Mayweather, Swizz Beatz, Future, Rihanna, Gucci Mane, Harambe, Webby, and Kanye West. Weirdly, the Kanye West track was originally named after Elton John, but it was changed not too long after the mixtape drop, so pretty strange. The first track, Wyclef Jean, feels like the pulling of some sort of cord to start a machine. The machine in this case is Jeffery as a concept. It opens on a skit of Thug in the studio before getting into the song. The reggae-esque production sees various trap drums enter, which are accompanied by a sparse number of brass inclusions. The background vocals serve to deepen the project, and this continues for the entire 40-minute track list, a length which allows this project to shake off most filler for a curated trap experience. Thugger takes a sing-songy flow on this cut and is backed by a few belly laughs in the background, which make this a very playful song as a whole. Moving on to Floyd Mayweather, this is a track which has a far cloudier and more brooding atmosphere. The opening once again features Thugger in the studio talking and pouring up drinks, which makes this feel like a casual glimpse into his world. The decimated drum that appears in the background feels like a punch from the track's namesake. And Travis Scott brings some auto-tuned crooning goodness into the background of this one. I'm not too focused on lyrics here, but Young Thug's kills me. It's so bad it's good. Gucci Mane's feature on here is next, and honestly, it doesn't bring anything to the table for me. I also think Travis's verse just kind of starts and continues really strangely. I almost feel like he didn't need a verse here because his crooning is honestly far more enjoyable sonically. The song does slow down midway through, however, before resuming with Thug's final verse. This is another highlight of the song for me. Overall, this song could have been around 3 minutes shorter and it would have been fine. Just, cut out Gucci Mane entirely and get rid of Travis's verse. Apart from that, it's listenable. Next up, we have Swizz Beatz with its joyous pop-like production that really gives the whole thing some bounce. The hook on this song is so simple, but it's absolutely infectious. His is awesome as well. Verse-wise, this is the track where Thugger really starts to spit, and his earworm flows are on full display. It also shows off his signature Mr. Krabs voice, and the "Wake up your dog" is so energizing and fun. This track really starts to put you into this hedonistic trap-infused tropical island that the album evokes, for me at least, personally. Moving along, we have Future Swag, which sees Young Thug go all in on a Future impression, complete with production from TM88 of 808 Mafia. I think this holds up as a great impression with a twist of Young Thug pizzazz. The faster flow and reverbed background notes make this whole thing feel really frantic. There's also 30 seconds where it sounds like he's just rapping against the clock, and it's stellar. The hook is incredible, the repeated whooshing sounds in the second verse add to this aggression on display, and it features a line which has no business being this hard. Enough said. Riri is a complete 180 in tone and feels almost sweet. The opening of Thug talking once again is backed by sweeping percussion, but this cannot prepare you for that first drum, which is heavenly. His singing from the get-go has a perfect flow, and the contrast between this and his imperfect vocals makes for an interesting listen. The build to the dolphin-like hook somehow works with its voice cracks and all. He also goes back in later and manages to transition from singing to rapping so seamlessly. The outro letting the vocals stand without backing is also nifty. This is followed by Goo Up, which is in my opinion the second weakest track here after Floyd Mayweather. I will say that the little piano, synth, and drum inclusions sound nice, and the heavy reverb on the synths and piano make it feel moody in tone, but honestly the verses here are just really f***ing mediocre. Even Thug sort of drops the ball comparatively to the rest of the album. Young Scooter and Quavo both have painfully mediocre verses as well. And I would say that the strongest verse here comes from Offset. He rides the beat well, I guess. Overall, this just sounds like a weak attempt at a posse cut that doesn't really do anything for me. One of my personal favorite tracks, Harambe, has a relatively simplistic opening, which is then followed by a barrage of amazing drums and hi-hats. Thug immediately sounds hostile here. His voice is hoarse and the energy feels like he's trading bars with himself. You can tell it's definitely not his first take here. Even his opening remarks sound like he's taunting the listener, and his ad-libs here have become honestly just primal growls. This also features one of the best skirts in hip-hop, as well as a perfect hook which sounds like a mix between excitement and rage. It ends with a strange rapped conversation between Thugger and God, I mean sure, which then transitions into more Mr. Krabs' voice and feels like an aggressive culmination of everything. Love it. Webby is up next and sees slow production with which Thug's flow just makes so much sense. The heavy attack and effects on the background piano also make it really nice and understated. Delivering his hook over minimal production in a minute is also very intimate with just vocals and a piano. Duke also delivers a standout verse here with an amazing flow. His speed and yodeling-esque delivery really brings something to the table. The narrative closer here is Kanye West. The only word for this song really is triumphant. The piano instrumental is tranquil, and enlisting Wyclef Jean of Fugees fame makes for a really unexpected but awesome collaboration. It also brings us full circle to the first track being named Wyclef Jean. I know, right? The fusion of trap drums and more traditional instruments makes for an incredible experience. The hook here is also wonderful, and the fact that it can be delivered so many times and never get old is a testament to both it and the accompanying production. Everything is perfect. The guitar, Young Thug saying over and over, Thug's dolphin ad-libs, the ad-lib, and especially Wyclef's versatility all just make this wonderful. Wyclef switches from singing into a baritone pitch for his rapped verse, and I mean this doesn't even touch on the fact that the first verse here features Thug's best flow on the whole album. Overall, this song just makes you smile from ear to ear, and that can really be said of most of this mixtape. Pick Up the Phone is weird, and I don't even know if I would count it since it shows up both here and on the Travis Scott album, Birds in the Trap Sing McKnight, but it's a cool mainstream banger, and I'm almost certain it was just kinda added here to, rack up sales. Still a good song though, I got nothing against it. Something people immediately mention when this album is brought up is the cover art. The dress Thugger wears here was designed by Alessandro Trincone. Supposedly, Jeffery saw it in New York and, well, the rest is history. A gorgeous pastel blue and bluish white, as well as the billowing detail clearly bestowed upon it, make it clear why Young Thug needed this dress for his cover art. You can construe this as an empowering statement upon the irrelevance of gender, but at the very least, it's Young Thug being Young Thug. Some people may criticize it for that, but ultimately the eccentric and forward-thinking is something Jeffery excels at. Some of its lyrics are incredibly weird and often morally questionable, but honestly, this is just part of the appeal. You can accuse Trap of being uninspired, but you can't deny that the soundscape on display here is an intriguing one. His earworm flows and inflections are some of his best. The tracklist does meander on a few occasions, but overall there's enough greatness here to excuse that. Every single listen you'll have different tracks that become your favorite, and that's a special thing for an artist to create. On the whole, Jeffery is an album which seems unconcerned with what anybody thinks of it. It is a barrage of vocal experimentation, bizarre and often hedonistic lyricism, pop-infused trap beats, and most of all, fun. This album evokes a feeling of fun and of happiness, as well as shedding new light onto this real character that is Young Thug. So definitely give it a listen. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was really interesting for you to watch, and if you did enjoy it, be sure to share, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.